Good morning, everybody, and happy July. Yep, that's right. We are already at the halfway mark of 2024. It seems hard to believe this year has gone by lightning fast. I don't know if you agree with me, but for me, it certainly has. This is Jobeth Bowers, your accident and injury attorney here from my office in Elkton, coming at you with another edition of the Monday Morning Lawyer. This week, we are going to talk about things that you can do with your own auto insurance policy that if you ever get in an accident, is going to help you make that settlement be even bigger. Yes, your own insurance policy. In fact, sometimes your insurance policy ends up being where most of the money comes from. And I know as soon as I say that, as soon as I talk about making a claim with your insurance company, the alarm bells go up, everybody gets on high alert. We're going to get to that in just a moment to talk about how this doesn't end up burning you or your insurance rates, because last week we talked about crazy insurance rates and how to get better rates and how to tweak your policy so that it does not, that you can save some money without losing coverage. We're going to talk about how what I'm proposing, suggesting, advising, if you will, for your auto policy is not, if you have to use it, going to make those rates go up, not going to get you dropped or anything like that. But first, I want to do a shout out, as I normally do, to an upcoming community event. This is another fundraiser event. This is a fun show. This is something that is with the grocery outlet here in Elkton. They are putting on, as part of their annual Independence from Hunger campaign, this is a fundraiser show. So this is a similar show to what we talked about in previous weeks with the Live Like Jen stuff, with a different cause. This one's taking place at the Elkton VFW. It is next week, Friday. So we're almost a little less than 2 weeks away from this one, July 12th, at the Elkton VFW. Tickets are super limited for this one. All of the proceeds, thanks to many of the sponsors of this event, my office included in that, will benefit two organizations here in Cecil County. One of them is the Cecil County Help Center. The other is Meeting Grounds. These are both food pantries and shelters that help out those who are less fortunate in a time of need. So check that out. Rewind the video if you need to get to the link. Scan that QR code or whatever to get tickets. There's a very limited number of tickets, I think about 150 in the room. I don't know how many have sold. I know that sponsors have taken up a bunch of those tickets. So if you are interested in supporting that cause, seeing one of those shows, jump on that immediately. So this week we're going to talk about things you can do now. This is a concept that I have talked about in the years and years and years that I have had my practice here with clients. And I will say something along the lines because I'm normally the person that tells one of my clients that there's something that they could have done better with their auto insurance policy. The problem is I'm telling them when they're in my office after an accident and it's too late to fix it. So the conversation usually starts, if we were to be able to get into a time machine, go back to the day or week or month before you were in an accident and make a few changes, this is what would make things a whole lot better for you. Well, guess what? Treat this video like that time machine. Future you will thank you. And you don't even need a flux capacitor to make it happen. You shouldn't be taking your car up over 88 miles an hour. None of those things are necessary. This is your time machine. Let's fix that auto insurance policy. Okay. Two big ways to do it. And these are two things that I will talk about a lot. There's a ton of content on my website about these topics. There is a ton of videos on my YouTube channel. It will be a recurring theme on any of these podcast episodes, because these are things that you can do that are honestly very inexpensive to your own insurance policy to help you out. One of them, this is the big one. This is the one that is super important because of a variety of factors that help you out as a victim of an accident. The biggest one is probably personal injury protection coverage. Personal injury protection coverage is something that should, I say should, be standard on every Maryland auto accident policy. However, there is a carve out in the law that allows people to waive this coverage. Where do I see the most of these waivers? I see the most of these waivers by people who have purchased policies online, not using an agent. I've mentioned numerous times in the past how using an agent is great. Using an agent costs you no money, because if you were to go to a website for an insurance company like a State Farm and Nationwide, and you were to put together a policy, get yourself a quote, and then take a screenshot of that quote, the coverages and the amount, the cost, and then call an agent that sells for that company, you're looking at the same price, even though you got the agent to help you out, even though you got the agent to make sure that you're not, usually the agent will make sure that you're not waiving important coverages like personal injury protection coverage. What is personal injury protection coverage? It is your coverage. It is a no fault coverage, which means that if you use it, it's not going to raise your rates. I'm going to get to that in a second here, because a lot of people don't believe me when I tell them that. I'm going to show you the hard, fast, black and white evidence on not being able to raise your rates, drop you, or anything like that when you use PIP. But what does PIP do? PIP will pay your medical bills. PIP will pay lost wages. PIP, if you are working through my office, can be manipulated, I guess that's the right word, to pay absolutely everything in your claim a lot of the time. Now, you need what I'd like to call an air traffic controller, a quarterback, if you will, who's directing everything, saying this goes here and that happens first, and then this happens. We need to get your health insurance involved. It's super complicated, but the important thing is you call my office. The number's right down there, right down there. I'll point to it right never. You call my office. You call my office directly after an accident before anybody does anything. In fact, let my office make the claims. Let my office call all the insurance companies for you. We can put together the order of operations where just the other week, very, very minor accident, settled the case for $9,000 because the client called us right away, because we were that quarterback, that air traffic controller. We did all of the things. The amount of money that my client put in their pocket at time of settlement on a $9,000 settlement was $8,750 some dollars. I don't remember the exact amount, but they basically put the entire amount that we settled their case for in their pocket. We didn't waive our fee. We got paid our full fee. All of our expenses were reimbursed. All of their medical bills were paid. Wait, what? How? Why? The power of personal injury protection coverage and being able to use it through an office like mine. If we run the show from day one, if we are call number one, we can set this up for a lot of people in a lot of scenarios. The other piece of advice that I will give everybody is don't just have PIP. It's super important to make sure you have PIP, and don't be tricked, because if you've got one of those Geico policies or one of those Progressive policies, it may say something sneaky on the declaration page about PIP, guest PIP, passenger PIP, option A. Option A is like a real insult to me, because when you think of option A, you think of the best thing, A through Z. Option A is a waiver. It's a waiver. If you are a Geico insured driver and you look at your deck page under personal injury protection, if it says option A, I'm telling you now, we're in the time machine. I'm telling you now, you've waived PIP and you're paying for it. And that's another thing that's confusing, because if you follow that line item across, you're going to see a charge for it. You're just going to assume that you have the coverage. The problem is that you cannot waive PIP for a passenger that's in your vehicle. So you're paying for the fact that they might need to pay money under that claim in the future, even though you and your family members who are over 16 years old don't get the coverage. But here's the important thing. Here's the thing that's got you hemming and hawing, and I know it because I talk to hundreds of clients about this every year. And oftentimes I have ones that don't want to make a claim with their insurance because they don't want their premiums to go up. And you're right. You don't want your premiums to go up. Here's the law, okay? The law here says, and this is directly out of the insurance article with respect to personal injury protection, an insurer that issues a policy that contains the coverage described in section 19505, which is PIP. I'm not going to bring the whole thing out here. You're just going to have to trust me on that. You can research it. There are links on the YouTube page in the description of this that you can go and find the actual law. So feel free to fact check me on this. It's not great for the podcast for me to just put the entire article of the law here. May not increase the premium on the policy due to a claim or payment made under that coverage. Can they raise your rates based on other claims? Yes. Can they raise your rates based on making a PIP claim? No. It says it right here, black and white. This is in the Maryland insurance article. This is in, I believe that this specifically, and again, the citation and the links and everything are in the link in the description below. This is probably 19507. And the other thing, because nobody ever looks at all the stuff that your insurance company mails you, they're actually supposed to put this in writing and mail you something that says that if you make a claim using PIP, that they're not going to raise your rates. They're supposed to tell you this, and they probably do, but it's buried in a stack of paperwork and you never read it. Why? Because they want you to be apprehensive about making a claim on your insurance because it saves them money. The whole business model of insurance is set the premiums, collect the premiums, keep the money. And they do that in a variety of ways. They deny these claims, they defend these claims, they hide the ball from you with things like that. They create this animosity that makes you not want to make a claim that's not going to make your rates go up because they don't want to pay it. But don't just have that PIP coverage, have as much as you possibly can. In Maryland, companies can write you as much as $10,000 in personal injury protection coverage. The secret with that story that I told you earlier is that client did not have $10,000 worth of personal injury protection coverage. In fact, if they did, we may have put more money in their pocket than we settled the case for. Yes, it's possible. Rare. But only really possible if you come to us day one and get us handling this thing where we are literally, hands on the strings of the marionette, making everything go in the order that we need it to go to benefit you, our client, the most. Which, again, you don't even have to worry about what that blueprint is. You don't need to know that playbook. This is what we do. This is the only thing that we do. So, again, if you ever have an issue, if you ever have a need, send us an email, drop us a line. That's what we're here for. That's what we do. The other things to take a look at, again, we're talking about ways in which to tweak your policy today so that if you're in an accident in the future, again, this is my time machine episode here, that you are where you want to be. Make sure you're looking at both your liability and your uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. You want those to be as high as possible because you don't, do I ever say this a lot to my clients on podcasts, wherever I'm talking about it. You don't get to pick who hits you. You don't get to pick who insures them, if they're even insured at all. And you certainly don't get to pick how much insurance coverage they have. A lot of drivers are out there rolling around with the state minimum insurance. Don't be one of those drivers. And again, this part of your policy, specifically the uninsured motorist part, protects you when that other driver has no insurance or the state minimum, or at least has less insurance than what your claim is worth. A lot of these claims settle for $30,000, $50,000, $100,000. or at least they would if the insurance coverage were there. So make sure that you've got ample insurance. There's a link down below to get information about my free auto insurance policy review. This is something that I have been offering for over a decade. Every single day, this has been something that somebody could call my office for since I opened my own office here about 10 years ago in Elkton. But even before, when I was at another firm, I would always take the time to review people's auto insurance policies absolutely free. And as I've said before, or for those of you who are watching this video as the first video that you've seen of mine, I'm not an insurance agent. So there's not a sales pitch at the end. It's just kind of a list of take these things to your agent, get the prices on them. If they're affordable to you, you want to make these changes. So that underinsured motorist coverage, get as much of that as you can. My default recommendation is that if you own your own home, you need at least $250,000 in liability coverage and the consequential uninsured motorist coverage. Why? Because if you get taken out by somebody and you can't work, you need to be able to have enough insurance there that you know that if at a minimum that payout is going to take a substantial chunk off of paying off that mortgage if you have one. Most people do. So you want to make those liability and those uninsured motorist claim coverages at least as much as the value of your house. And then in case you cause an accident, in case you're at fault and somebody's coming after you, you probably want to have an umbrella policy to protect you, to make sure that in that instance that you've caused that accident, and let's say it's a really bad one, you're protected and you don't have to worry about losing your house. There's more than enough insurance there. Those umbrella policies are super, super cheap with most insurance companies. A lot of times you save money by bundling them and you get them with the same company and everything like that. I don't want to say that they give you enough of a discount that they're almost free, but sometimes with some companies they can be. So obviously take a look at those umbrella policies. If you really want to get technical about it, if you really want to make sure that you are super, super protected against somebody that causes an accident and may have insufficient insurance, especially if you're a high income earner, you might want to look into a company that sells uninsured motorist, underinsured motorist coverage as part of the umbrella. It's a little complicated. Don't hesitate to share this video with your insurance agent because they're going to understand the jargon that I'm speaking. If they don't understand the jargon that I'm speaking, you need a new insurance agent. But those are the tips. Those are the things that really put you in the driver's seat. Those are the hot button issues that when I have a client in my office and I say, hey, fix these things. They're not going to help you with today's accident, but you never know when you're going to get hit again. Fix them. You'll thank me later. This is the video that future you gets to come back and thank me because you've watched this before the accident happened. Future you's also going to thank present you for making the changes, because you can watch this video 50 or 100 times, but if you don't put into play the guidance that I'm giving you, it's not going to do you any good. In fact, it's actually going to make future you more upset. Hey, that guy told you what to do, and then you ignored him. So don't do that. Don't do that, because don't piss off future you. Future you deserves to be taken care of after one of these accidents. So any questions that you have, any future topics? Next week, I think we're going to dive into that insurance review. I'm going to talk to you about how you can take a look at your own insurance policy if you don't feel like calling me. We're going to dig a little deeper into those hot button issues. I know I have some old content on my YouTube channel that covers it, but it's time to refresh that and get that in here. So if you have an accident, if you have an injury, call my office. Ooh, I almost found it that time. I at least raised the right hand. If you have questions or topics for a future episode, that's the email address right there, info@bowerslawmd.com. If it's something I handle, I'm going to talk about it. If it's not something I handle, I'm going to get a guest in here that knows what they're talking about so that they're giving you great advice. So check out that event. check out your insurance company. Make sure you don't have option A. Make sure you don't have passenger PIP or guest PIP or any of those fancy little names that are secretly a waiver. Thank me later. And have a great week. Enjoy the 4th. Enjoy whatever you're doing for your holiday festivities. Strongly consider coming out to the Independence from Hunger event, which is next week, Friday, a little less than 2 weeks from the time that I am broadcasting this. Hope to see you all there. Be safe out there. Until next time.